Hello everyone and welcome to I'll Be Sewing. My name is Gina, and so for this year I decided that I was going to start with some videos. Like, I had quite a few requests and different projects, and one of the requests that I've been getting quite a bit is how to make this pouch with the 3 zippers. I had made in the past, I have done one with 2, and quite a few people wanted to know how to make with 3 zippers. So then I'm gonna be giving you the instructions how to do with the 3 zippers. I'm gonna give you this size here that I'm doing, and then if you want bigger, of course you can always change those measurements and accommodate for a bigger pouch. This one here, the finished size that I have here, is about 8 by 5.5. And the height is about, let's see, the height is about 3.5 high. So it's 8 by 7 by 3.5. That's the one that I've done here. So I have the measurements here. So this one here, I picked this kind of bright with a cat fabric, and the pieces that you're gonna need for your main, for the outside, I have here, it's 15 by 12, so 15 by 12 wide. And what I did already here, in my case, because this was directional, so I cut 2 pieces of 8 inches, and then I sew them. I cut it in half, and then I revert the fabric, so when I do mine, both of the cats will be standing up. So anytime that you work with direction fabric, sometimes you just, since it's 15, I would have to give it at least another 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch bigger in the 2 pieces in order to have my seam allowance here. So you're always going to be cutting the piece a little bit bigger than what you need if you're going to be cutting it in half, and then sew it, and then to accommodate your piece. As you see, I already quilted mine, and I also added R-Form. It's a foam that's interfaced. That's to interface my fabric. It's fusible to one side. You can also, there's different brands. Pellon has some, all kinds of different companies that do interfacing. They have different foam for bags. There's also Soft and Stable, R-Form. There's so many different ones out there, and sometimes depending where you live, you might not be able to find exactly the brands that I'm telling you about, but you can definitely look online, see what kind of foam, fusible foam, that you can buy and use that. Also, if you don't want to use foam, you can use a different interfacing, whatever is available to you in your area. Everybody, all over the world, different countries, they have different things that that they normally use. So your main piece has to be 15 by 12. Then we're going to need 6 pieces for our pockets, for the inside, not the pockets, for the inside of our bags. And the pieces are going to be, that's the one I have here for the inside. So you're going to need 6 pieces, and the pieces are going to be 12 by 5.5. That's what I have here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's for my inside. And then I'm going to need 2 pieces. That's where I'm going to attach the zipper. And this is going to be 1.5 from here to here. And it's going to be 12 this way. So we need 2 pieces. We're going to need 3 zippers, at least 14 inches. It's 12, at least 14 inches if you're not going to use the ones that you use by the yard. This is the one that I cut it to SUT by the yard. But if you're using just a regular zipper, the bigger the better, but so you can open it completely to do your top stitching. And then we also going to need 6 little pieces here to go around the zippers. And these pieces is 2.5 by... it's 2.5 by 3. You can do a long strip and then cut them down after they sew. And the way we do that, we fold in half, fold in a half and a half, fold it back on, and sew them on like this. And then I have mine already that I have done them. They already sewed, ready to go. I also fuse the foam in the two pieces that's to go around the zippers. This part here I didn't quilt it because by the time you add the zipper and add this part here, it ends up very narrow. So by the time you do the top stitching, you don't really need to do any quilting. The lining, I did interface my lining, but you don't have to. I use just a standard interfacing. I think this is SF101. It's just a cotton interfacing and it's fusible to one side. I just like my lining to be a little bit stiffer, so I end up interfacing mine. So I interface all the pieces. And if you're gonna quilt your piece here, what I suggest is cut your piece bigger, a little bit bigger. Quilt it first, then cut it to size, because anytime that we quilt something, what happens is it shrinks a little bit. So if you're going to cut your piece before you quilt it at 15, by the time you're done, you're not going to have 15 anymore. You're going to end up maybe 14 and a half. So I will always suggest anytime we quilt something, so I would probably cut my piece 16 by 13, quilt it, and then cut it to 15 by 12. Okay, so then we're gonna start at working with the zippers. Let's see what we have here. So I'm gonna start with the zippers and this middle part. So I'm gonna go ahead, it's just like we do all the time, we've done all the time. So we're gonna put a zipper on top, right side together, and we're gonna got one piece of lining, and you're gonna go ahead and do a seam like that. Okay, I'm just going to put a couple of clips. Sew it. Turn it to the right side. Like that. And then top stitch here. Okay. So I sew this part to one of the zippers. Then I'm going to go ahead and get my other piece. And I'm going to put on this other side of the zipper. Try to match your other part here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And also use another lining piece. And we're going to repeat the same process. So this part here, let me move the other pieces away so you can see a little bit better. So this is the piece that I'm just done. So I have it like this. Did my top stitch. Then I need this part here. So I'm going to put my zipper on top. I'm gonna even it out here. And if you have a hard time sewing zippers, what you can do, you can go ahead and do just a little zigzag to secure it in place to the foam piece. You can go ahead and do that little zigzag just at the edge, and then you go ahead and sew the zipper. Then you know nothing is gonna move on you when you are in a sewing machine. And then you're gonna get your lining again, right side to right side on top. And you're gonna go ahead and sew it. Turn your lining and your piece to this side like this. And then you're gonna go ahead and do a top stitch here. Okay? So I sewed mine, I have top stitch. Now we're gonna get our other zipper. We're gonna go here and we're gonna put it on this side here. Because this part here is going to make my middle pocket, my middle part of the bag. I guess it's not a pocket. I don't know why I keep saying pocket. Okay, so then you're going to touch the zipper here. You're going to get another piece of lining. So we're going to repeat the process. Zipper, lining, turn to this side like this, and do a top stitch. This side here, same thing, zipper, lining right on top. Always make sure is, since you have the middle part, always try to even out all your pieces to that middle that you started, so everything it's even, so it's going to go right across here. So the same thing, so zipper side down, lining side down, even it out, pin or use your clips, sew across, turn it, and top stitch. So you're gonna end up with a piece like this. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and do these two pieces and I'll show you right back what it looks like. So you're gonna end up with a piece like this. See, I sew all my zippers on, and see, I already used 4 of the lining pieces. So now we need to attach our outside fabric. So we're gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna go our zipper, we're gonna attach down here, even it out with your fabric like that, and you're gonna get another lining piece with the other lining piece. Gonna make a sandwich, pin it like that, and as soon as you sew that apart, push your lining this direction, and you're gonna do your top stitch. All right, so I sew mine, did my top stitch, then I have 5. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring this one over, I'm gonna fold it over, so I have my 3 zippers, bring this over, even it out on top of the zipper. I'm gonna get my lining again, put it on top. If you're not too comfortable with sewing zippers, sew each side, this side first, and then attach your lining. You can always do it that way. Sometimes it's slightly easier. Sometimes if you don't have a lot of experience having too many layers, things move out of place and then you get a little bit frustrated. So you can definitely just sew this first to your zipper and then attach your lining. So I'm gonna go ahead and even everything out, make sure everything is even. I'm not concerned about the zippers, it's just my fabric has to be even. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So after I've done that, I'm also gonna need to do a top stitch, but of course this is like this, that would be very hard to do a top stitch. So if you're using a regular zipper, open your zipper, and then if you're using a zipper by the yard like what I'm using here, you can you're gonna open it. So I'm gonna just open mine to do my top stitch, but it has to have a top stitch. Okay, so as soon as you're done sewing, you can already open if you really want. You can go ahead and open, and then you're gonna do your top stitch here, and then we have to put the zippers back together. Okay, if it's a regular zipper, make sure it's bigger and you're gonna open it all the way to do your top stitch. So I sew my last piece, and now I need to put my zipper pulls into all my zippers. So I did my top stitch, and I'm just gonna do that now. I like having my zippers all closed in. If you're using the other standard zippers, you're gonna go ahead and put them together in the end and do a couple stitches here so they stay together before we trim anything, and before we do the next step. So I'm gonna go ahead right now, and I'm gonna get my little clips here, my little pieces that I have here. It's already done. I'm gonna fold it, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna touch. I'm gonna check if everything is even here. If this is not even, then don't do this yet, but if yours is fairly even, if it's fairly even, you're gonna go ahead and attach this on top of your zipper. So you're gonna go ahead and go here and just on the zipper. So you're gonna have the linings, as you see, my linings one to each side, and I'm gonna go ahead and attach that there. So I'm gonna do that to both sides, to all the pieces. So really what you want to do, you want to take this to the sewing machine and really just secure this one here just on top of the zipper no lining involved, so your lining has to be one to each side. So you're gonna go ahead and do that to all of them. So make sure there's no lining. You're not gonna sew right across. You just write just this little piece right on top of the zipper. That's it. Okay, do that to both sides. So I secured them all into place. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn it to the other side now. And now I don't have to be too concerned about the zippers opening because they already sewed down a little bit there. So if you look over here now, we have all these linings, and as you see, that piece that we attached, like the line was one to each side, so it's not, you have to make sure that this is not like this when you sew this here, because if it's sewn like that, then your lining is not going to match after. So the linings have to be to this side while you sew your piece there. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to work with all the linings. So what I want you to do is you're going to go ahead and pin these across just like this and sew it. And then you're also going to be sewing this here as close as possible to the zipper. So you're going to be sewing like this, two linings all the way down and all the way here as close as possible to the zipper. It's gonna get very tricky when it gets very close to the zipper, so you're not gonna get very close, but it's okay, you don't have to. So you're gonna do that. Then you're gonna go ahead and do the second one the same. So this would be the middle. So the middle here, what we're gonna do, we're gonna leave an opening in the middle. So we're not gonna sew it right through. We're gonna do the same thing. Sew this as close as possible to the zipper, but here in the middle we're gonna leave an opening. So from here to about here, I would say about 3 inches or so, you're gonna leave an opening. So here to here and here to here, and then this one here, your last lining, the same thing. You're gonna go ahead and you're gonna sew from here all the way around to here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just work on my linings and we'll do the next step. So I sew all my linings. As you see, it goes close to the zipper but not too close, and I'll show you afterwards how we're gonna finish that off. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna create corners, and all the corners here from the seam allowance, I'm gonna measure 1.5 inch up and 1.5 inch in. So 1.5, 1.5. And I'm gonna do a box. I'm gonna do that in all my lining pieces. I use just the foot of my machine to do my seam allowance. You can do about 1/4 inch or slightly bigger than 1/4 inch, if depending of the foot that you're using. Mine works out to be about 1/4 inch. That's what I had on my machine. So you can definitely do that, about 1/4 inch to a little bit bigger if you want to. If you don't like sewing right at the edge of the fabric, it should be fine. It just sometimes could end up slightly bigger, the bag, or slightly smaller, but other than that, it's fine. It'll be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that to all my lining pieces. Then you're gonna cut it. Now we're gonna go ahead and open these to sew. I find this is a lot easier now because our zippers are secure. You're gonna open all your zippers, and this will be a lot easier to sew because you'll be able to open this more like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and open all my zippers because I know they're secure from both sides. They're not gonna have a problem, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and open them all. So now I have lots of room to work with. So I'm gonna go ahead and open them seam to seam. You can fold one in each side, nest those areas, and you're gonna go ahead and sew all of them. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do all of them, and I'll show you when it's done. So I sew all my corners. You're gonna end up with something like this. So if you use just one fabric, if you didn't cut yours into two pieces to change the direction, you can, we need to find the middle here. So I'm gonna go ahead here, I'm gonna put this zipper and this zipper together evenly, and I'm gonna go down here and clip a little piece. This is gonna be my center. But in my case here, I join my fabric, so I know my center is right here. But if you don't, that's what you do. You put your zippers together and you clip that little piece to find your center of that main one. So then you're gonna go ahead. So this is done like this. You're gonna bring this zipper here. So if you wanna do it through this side, so probably slightly easier to see. So yeah, you can see the teeth here, you know that's the center. And you're gonna go ahead, in this case here, probably will be better pins, because I still didn't trim my zipper, but I'm just gonna put it here to hold it in place. I'm gonna go ahead and do this like this, just to hold it in place. And I don't have any more clips. Let me just grab some more clips. Okay, so now this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna go ahead and you see where my pocket is here. I'm gonna try to open, I'm gonna bring these up as close to there as possible. And I'm gonna go ahead, I think pins, let me grab a pin. So we're gonna bring that like that, and we're gonna put a pin. Okay, same thing here. This part here, this, you're gonna try to bring that close like that, and we're gonna put a pin to hold it in place. So you don't wanna, just wanted to put it like that so you catch that little piece there, like that. And the same thing with this one. You're gonna go ahead and bring it here. So you're gonna bring this folded all the way to the zipper part here. You see that? Fold it like that. And then you're gonna go ahead and do a seam right across, just kind of catching that little edge of your fabric. Okay? Gonna do the same on this side. Find the middle. Gonna move the zippers a little bit in so it's not so bulky. And again, we're gonna open our fabric this way, like this, and sew across. This one, the same thing. We're gonna push this like this, adjust this tip here, and we're gonna do a seam right across. Okay? Okay, just like that. So I went ahead and I sew across here, as you see. And then what I did was I trimmed my zippers right after. Trim all the pieces that we had extra here. After I trimmed my zipper, I went here and I measured on the folded edge from my seam allowance, 1.5 and 1.5. That's the pieces that I have here. Okay, like that. Okay, let's put that one there also. So I went ahead and I measured 1.5 in all the corners, all the 4 corners, and I trimmed them down. Okay, so then we end up with something like this. So now we're gonna go ahead and sew these right across. Before you sew them, what do you want to do? You want to clip them here so you know where your middle is. Okay? So you know where your middle is, where to match with your seam. So then you're going to go ahead, match those like that, and sew them all. Then we're going to turn it to the right side. I'm just going to go do these, and so just make sure you match them all and sew them all the 4 corners exactly the same. Okay, so I'll be right back. So I sew all my corners, all 4 corners. Now we're ready to turn it to the right side. Hopefully I caught everything. Things sometimes can go wrong. If you have strings or anything, try to trim them. Try to take them out. Okay, let's see. Turning it is the tricky part. Just take your time. Don't rush like me. And you should be fine. Or you can leave a bigger opening so you don't struggle to turn it out. And of course you still need to close this one off. Just take it to the sewing machine and sew it. Before I sew mine, I might add a little handmade tag to it. But her bag is done. So if you're wondering which fabrics I used here, I will put a link in the bottom of the video with the name of the fabric and the website. So the website would be allbesewing.ca, but I'll put the name of the fabric, so if you're looking for, and that's what it looks like. If you want these to be slightly taller, you could instead of doing, I did 1.5, you could do 1 3/4, and then but your seam would come very close to the zipper, so you have to would have to increase the size of your fabric if you want it to be slightly taller. But here you go. I think this is a great project, even for school or anything that you would like to do. You could even do these really big. Just, make sure you make the right calculations for your fabric. It's always, sometimes the tricky part is figuring it out, the size of the pieces that you need to cut. But other than that, there you go. This is how you do it with 3 zippers. I hope you like this video. Give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Happy sewing, everyone.